Every relationship has its highs and lows, but sometimes, what we perceive as normal behavior can be far more damaging than we realize. You might look at your relationship and struggle to identify the signs of toxicity or be unsure if what you're experiencing is a healthy dynamic or not. How do you know if what you're dealing with are just the typical quirks and challenges of a relationship or if they're signs of something more toxic? Fortunately, psychology gives us a lot of insights. According to psychology, here are 8 common behaviors that may appear innocent but are actually quite toxic. If these ring true, it might be time to reassess your relationship for your emotional well-being. 1. Constant criticism and belittlement. Every relationship will have its moments of disagreement and frustration. But it can be incredibly toxic when it transforms into a persistent pattern of criticism and belittlement. You might shrug off your partner's occasional snide comment or negative remark, assuming it's just a bad day. Or perhaps you tell yourself that it's their blunt way of expressing love. But when these comments erode your self-esteem and make you question your self-worth, it's a sign of a more significant issue. In fact, criticism is considered a main behavior that may predict divorce. Criticism can take different forms, such as insults, name-calling, and negative descriptive adjectives. Constant criticism and belittlement can slowly poison your relationship, leading to resentment, stress, and lower self-esteem. Recognizing this behavior as toxic is the first step toward addressing the problem. Constant criticism and belittlement can slowly poison your relationship, leading to resentment, stress, and lower self-esteem. Recognizing this behavior as toxic is the first step toward addressing the problem. 2. Always being the peacemaker. In a relationship, you may assume that always maintaining peace and avoiding conflict is a sign of maturity and harmony. You might pride yourself on always smoothing things over, or perhaps you find yourself constantly suppressing your feelings to avoid an argument. While this might seem like a noble sacrifice for peace's sake, it can be detrimental in the long run. It's called conflict avoidance, and it could be more toxic than beneficial. Constantly suppressing your feelings and avoiding confrontation can lead to emotional exhaustion and resentment. It also prevents you from addressing important issues in your relationship, which can lead to bigger problems later on. A healthy relationship allows for open and respectful discussions where both parties feel heard and valued. This means addressing issues directly, without fear of reprisal, and finding mutually beneficial solutions. So, being the perpetual peacemaker might not be as virtuous as it seems. 3. Displaying excessive jealousy. A little bit of jealousy in a relationship can sometimes be seen as a sign of love or care. But when it crosses a certain threshold, it can turn into a toxic behavior that is detrimental to both partners' mental health. It's natural to feel slightly jealous at times. Psychologists even say it could be healthy. An excessive amount of jealousy, though, is a different matter. It can lead to trust issues, insecurity, and anxiety. Healthy jealousy might involve feeling a little uneasy when your partner spends a lot of time with someone else, but excessive jealousy can lead to controlling behavior and a lack of trust. Recognizing excessive jealousy for what it truly is, a toxic behavior, is crucial to creating a healthier dynamic in your relationship. 4. Ignoring personal boundaries. Does your partner frequently intrude into your personal space? Do they respect your need for privacy? Do you often find yourself compromising your boundaries to accommodate their needs? We all have our own boundaries, and even in a relationship, respect for those boundaries is crucial. That includes physical boundaries as well as emotional boundaries, such as the right to have separate interests, friends, and time apart. 5. Using love as a bargaining chip. Love is supposed to be unconditional, but when it becomes a tool for manipulation or control, it becomes a toxic behavior. You might find your partner withholding affection when they don't get their way, or perhaps you've noticed that their love seems conditional based on your actions or behavior. This can leave you feeling insecure and constantly on edge, trying to meet their ever-changing expectations. This type of emotional manipulation can take many forms, from guilt-tripping to silent treatment. It's not only unfair but also deeply damaging. It can lead to a cycle of anxiety and self-doubt, where you're constantly striving to earn the love that should be given freely. 6. Being excessively generous. This might sound strange, but did you know that excessive generosity can actually be a sign of a toxic dynamic? Because it makes the relationship unbalanced. It can often be a form of control or a way to create a sense of obligation. It can also foster an unhealthy power dynamic where one person feels indebted to the other, leading to feelings of guilt and unease. So you see, while those generous actions may seem kind and selfless on the surface, they can sometimes hide underlying motives. 7. Keeping score. This one's pretty common, but that doesn't make it any less toxic. Many couples forget one important thing when they resort to scorekeeping: they're supposed to be a team. When couples start tallying who's done what or who owes who, they forget they're supposed to be working together. Instead of focusing on scorekeeping, try to see things from a team perspective. Everyone brings something different to the table, and that's a good thing. 8. Holding grudges. In any relationship, we're likely to make mistakes. But when past errors are constantly brought up as a weapon in arguments, it can be a sign of toxic behavior. You might find your partner reminding you of past missteps whenever there's a disagreement, or perhaps you yourself struggle to let go of old mistakes. While addressing issues and learning from them is important, constantly revisiting past faults can create a negative cycle. Studies show that couples who forgive each other for their mistakes are more likely to enjoy longer, more satisfying romantic relationships. So, learn how to let go of past mistakes, otherwise, they can make your relationship more toxic than it should be. As we conclude, it's crucial to recognize the signs of toxicity in relationships. Constant criticism, conflict avoidance, jealousy, ignoring boundaries, using love as leverage, excessive generosity, scorekeeping, and holding grudges can all significantly harm your emotional well-being. By acknowledging these behaviors, you can take the first step towards reassessing and improving your relationship. Remember, healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect and open communication. If you're struggling, seek support. Thanks for watching, and take care.